I'll have my life back if I can overcome my addiction, if I am able to realize this recovery fully and manage the opioid use effectively. I feel like I will get control back over my own body. Hey everyone, and I'm Trish Barasa. I run the Beyond Conditions podcasts, which is a community of support for those of us who journey with chronic conditions. And we seek to realize a full life despite living and navigating health challenges with chronic conditions. And this is a continuation of our opioids crisis series, where we had previously looked at the opioids addiction, use, and abuse. I didn't flush the vials, and they come in the injectable forms, as I'd explained earlier. And this was because my immediate issue was the pain. And I wondered to myself what would happen if and when the pain arose. And because I didn't have an immediate solution, I, at the back of my mind, thought to still keep these vials with me. Handling pain, even knowing with the knowledge that I'm now addicted to opioids, became the biggest dilemma I had to deal with. And I got to know about the dangers of opioids after the fact. I had used opioids for a very long time, low potent, as I had explained earlier. And opioids are a quick fix. The options you're given sometimes are not workable. Like for me, the option of working with NSAIDS was not viable because then it would even cause me a different set of pain and hospitalize me. The option of physiotherapy and all the others, which I got to learn about later, did not seem immediate. Like it felt like even if I get to address the pain, I am having to have to deal with some pain. And I remember my pain specialist telling me that I have to live with the fact that I will have to live with some pain. So the options that were presented to me, rather put on the table, included having a nerve block, which is injected directly to your spine to help relieve the pain. And that, even just the thought about it, you have an injection into your spine, is painful in itself. But the doctor assured me that that would help me at least over some short periods of time. The other option was physiotherapy, which I had used before, or rather I had done before. And they use different devices and sometimes mechanisms, including even massage therapy and cold therapy and hot towels. And there is this other technology called TENS, where they apply some electric stimulation that goes directly into your nerves to address your pain. The other option, which now comes in with therapy, and this is like physical and psychological therapy, is cognitive behavioral therapy, where this is a very targeted and goal-oriented approach that seeks to reach a way and a mechanism through which you can manage pain, and which is very goal-oriented. So you work with your medical practitioner and you reach somewhere in terms of what do you want to achieve with your pain. I cannot say I'm immune to a relapse, but because we call this a path to recovery, a road to recovery, so far I have really had to talk to myself, gather more knowledge around the risks, and realize that the risks I face are larger than the benefits I may extract immediately, and knowing that I cannot use opioids for a long period of time. So I have also used antidepressants, also drugs that are used for seizures, anti-seizures. They do help to manage pain. And I am hoping to get to the point where I will go for the nerve block, which then will help me, especially with the back pain, because that's a pain that I seemingly will have to live with for life. And as I said before, it sometimes feels like you're sitting on spears. Yeah. The way opioids work, or the pathway through which they work in the body, is very interesting. And I'm not this podcast and this discussion from my end is from a patient's perspective. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical specialist. But what I understand is opioids use the same pathways that your body nervous system uses to fix pain. Like whichever way your body fixes pain is the pathways that opioids take. So they actually mess up with your brain receptors, and they mess up with the way you handle pain. So what happens is you get both a quick fix out of your pain, and you also get a high, like a euphoria, a sense of what do you call it, like a reward. There's like a release of dopamine in your body. So same thing that happens to you when you achieve something and that is so rewarding happens to you when you take opioids. And I think that's one of the things that makes withdrawal so difficult, and one of the things that makes all of us very immune to a relapse. And that's what I used to feel. The pain would go, and beyond going, I always say it comes as a bonus, euphoria. Knowing that the risks outweigh the benefits. It's like knowing that this euphoria I am getting is as temporal as the pain I'm fixing, but the dangers outlasts the euphoria. So knowing that knowledge, and it's very important for patients, and it's also been emphasized in the management of opioid abuse, being aware that that euphoria won't last, but the dangers will last, and it messes up your body completely to a point where you will even feel pain when you shouldn't feel pain. Somebody makes you angry, or you're dealing with an emotional crisis, which I have had to deal with, disappointment, is translated as physical pain. So when you're aware that you actually are feeling pain for almost anything and everything in your life, then you start realizing how badly down a dark path you are going. My relationships have been messed. There are friends who have stood by me, and they have noticed that things have changed since I started using and abusing opioids, and they have tolerated me, and I literally thank them for that. There are those who have not been able to put up with the changes that have come with the abuse, and sadly I have lost some relationships, some very meaningful relationships in my life. And there are those I haven't told, and they don't know what's happening, but yes, they do notice that there are some changes. I'll have my life back if I can overcome my addiction, if I am able to realize this recovery fully, and manage the opioid use effectively. I feel like I will get control back over my own body, which has been sadly taken away by opioids. So there's a lot of help that I need. And I know there are even people who have had to take other medications to, like opioid, is it antagonist or agonist, something like that. They've had to take other medication to take care of the opioid addiction. I'm not sure if I'm there or not yet there, but in my mind, I tell myself that if I'm able to say no to that strong will that the addiction I fight, I'll regain control over my life. It doesn't just affect the way you react, it also affects your sleeping patterns. I don't sleep well anymore. I've had to be on sleeping aids. I had mentioned it makes you feel more pain. Even where you're not supposed to be feeling physical pain, you feel physical pain. And it increases your anxiety, anxiety within you. Yeah. So they really mess people up, and it's sad that we seem not to have so much of an option when it comes to chronic pain management. Not having them is one step. Not having the opioids, access to the opioids is one step towards not using them. And I know that it's even a strategy that has been employed in advanced countries like the US, where one person dies every 8 minutes from opioids. Because the thing about opioids is you also keep using more and more. So what you use today that works effectively and gives you the high will not be enough tomorrow. And at some point, it will overwhelm your body and your body will shut down completely to death. So the path down the opioid use is unfortunately ultimately a fatality. And I'd be proud of myself if I outlived most of you here, because I have regained control of my life and over the opioid addiction. I'm not so sure if there's a science behind this, but I had very little inhibition to anything. If you got me angry, I was angry, and I had no space for anything else. I had no space, or my tolerance levels were dropped too low. Again, not sure if there's a science behind it. Normally, conflicts happen and we are able to recover from conflicts. I wasn't able to recover from even the slightest of conflicts when I was on opioids. So it's a full ecosystem when it comes to opioids. It's not a one size fits all. What works for me may not work for you and may not work for someone else. But I think it has to be comprehensive. It must involve the patient. It must involve the medical practitioners. They also need to be informed and educated, because you realize that the doctor who's prescribing and is not the pharmacologists who understands the technicalities behind opioids. So even doctors need to be educated on it, and everyone also needs to be aware that every other person comes with different things, and that's why I say it's not a one size fit all. So there are variabilities. I could be fighting the addiction and I have other comorbidities, like other conditions that are co-occurring with the condition that is making me use the opioids. That would make my journey different from someone else. I could be fighting the addiction and my genetic makeup is different from someone else, and that would make my journey different again from another. I could be fighting the addiction and I'm probably poor. So my journey again will have other factors that would make it harder or easier. So when you look at all these conditions, you'll realize that one person will likely get addicted or be trapped in the addiction or even end up, unfortunately, dead because of these many other factors, either that are controlling factors or they are contributory to the addiction or to the inability to recover. And again, governments come in, and I think this is a really key aspect of it. And it's not a one size fit all. You can't just tell someone that I can't give you opioids because the government has outlawed it. No, it's an effective way of managing pain, but it's an effective way that comes with a lot of risks. Dependence comes with first the craving. You want the opioid, and that craving is internal. It's physiological, and at the same time it's psychological. It's pushing you to this. Dependence also and use disorder comes with intolerance, maybe higher levels of and outbursts of anger. Dependence comes with lack of inhibitions. It's almost like a permanently drunk alcoholic person, but they're not smelling of alcohol. Yeah, so dependence comes with all these different dynamics that make it difficult for you to really maintain a meaningful relationship with anyone. Dependence comes with you using money without thinking much into it. So even if sometimes it means spending on opioids and not eating. Dependence comes with not being able to sleep normally. That means you're not resting well, you're not recharging. You're literally just a shell of yourself. And some of you have seen some videos of which are called the zombies of Philadelphia. Dependence really just reduces you into a shell. Although you may not sometimes physically look it because you work yourself up to look good at the right time, but with time you will end up in that shell of a person. First things first, I would be glad to regain the control of my life, build back relationships I've lost, be able to work. I know pain still remains a hindrance. Be able to work around with other ways of managing the pain. I'm actually making baby steps towards that. I have accepted that I have to live with a certain amount of pain. It's not a good place to be in, to accept pain, but really that's what it means for those of us who live with chronic conditions, that the pain it comes with is a part of your life for life. Perhaps just now really look at what that path to recovery looks like and keep educating each other, keep inspiring each other and giving each other hope into knowing that it is doable. I am able to effectively manage opioid addiction, and working with the different institutions in society to support, because this is not a fight that any one person can do alone. So thank you for your time through this episode of this second part of the opioid crisis. And we look forward to seeing you next time. I'm Trish Barasa, and an opioid survivor who is on the path to recovery.